chair.
Oh.
Just scoot it over here.
What, are you gonna do a video?
Yeah, since we're discussing this. Okay. You remember looking up, being in our bed in Cripple Creek. You're on the top bunk. That you could sit up in your bed and look over your feet to see the stereo.
No, I know.
Okay.
No, my head was facing that way. My feet were towards the wall, like this, facing east. My feet were in this corner.
Okay, so your head
Was facing my stereo.
the top of your head
Was
facing
facing my stereo.
That's how you remember it?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember it as I'm laying in bed, and in order for me to see the stereo, I turn my head to the right.
Okay, and you want to know my argument against this?
What?
The door opened up. When you opened up the door opened up this way.
Right.
That's it. Okay. Then you're saying our bed was from the door to the wall? There's not enough room.
No.
There's not enough room from
No,
bed
no, no,
to
no.
the wall.
Okay.
So that means our bed had to go this way in front of those windows.
No, from the foot of our bed to the wall. Okay, to the same wall that the door opened from. Okay, would have been maybe 3 feet, 4 feet, maybe, just enough, for you to make it to the closet. Half the width of a double door closet is about how wide. And the desk you said that was in between our bed and the wall, I guess it's about the only place it could be.
No, it could have been on the other side because I remember it there.
The desk
Was on the bathroom
was
wall.
no. We walked into our bedroom and then turned left to go to the closet
Right.
or to the dill.
To
Okay.
the bed.
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
All right, this was me. You would walk into our room. If you continued walking forward, where the door opened up, because the door opened flush to the wall.
Right.
Okay, you walk straight forward, and that's where we had our desk. Was underneath this window, and then next to our desk was the bed, running this
In
way
the
here.
middle of the room?
Our bed was in the middle of the room.
No.
Yes.
No, our bed was up against the wall.
No, it was not. No.
Oh my gosh.
No, it was not. Our bed, our bunk bed,
No, we've
have
never.
never been up against
Oh
the
my
wall.
God, oh my God. I was just gonna say they've never been out in the open like that where I can get off on either side.
530 North Gray. Where was our bunk beds? When they were on top of each other, not when they were side to side and we were on the side of the rooms. When you snuck Annie in,
They were against the wall.
they were not.
Yes. Oh, you're right. You're right. They were
In the
coming-
center of a
right.
room
Okay.
where you
right.
could roll off. It was
I
the
will
same
give you
way
that
in
one.
Cripple Creek.
I'll give you that one. Oh my God. All right. Now that I remember 530 North Gray, I will concede that it is possible it was that way. And
Okay. Now let me ask you this. What were our beds like the first room that we ever shared? The first beds that you can remember you and me having together that were separate, that were not bunk beds, what were they like?
there were those corner beds.
Okay, good. I'll make sure we at least have that same memory. So,
And that was in the house with the fire that your friends burned down. Now, what was the story? There was something weird about that too, right? Something changed where your friends didn't burn that house down, or
well, no, my friends burnt a house down, yes.
the one up on the hill in Pacifica, off of Ocean Drive, or Skyline Drive. I'm sorry.
I
Skyline.
don't know which house it was. I know it was the house that that Dad had his,
Engraving.
well,
Gold
not
plating.
his
Gold
brass plating business in.
Yeah,
It was brass, it wasn't gold.
you're right.
And where we got our Spider-Man and Batman and everything action figures
Yeah,
for Christmas that I opened up early and hid downstairs and
Right.
that bullshit.
That's the same house I made you go touch the fence naked and come back and then close the door.
Was it?
Yes, because I went upstairs into the living room and I had to crank open that window, and I remember laughing at you from the upstairs window, and you were down there dancing around like a fucking.
Now, would that be the same house that we had Alfalfa and Spanky in?
Yep, the same
With the
house.
ducks that we got into the mud fight, we had that the wash bins in
Right,
back
and the
everything
Indian
else.
girl across the street, Savita.
Okay, then which house was it that we had the girl that had the Irish setter, that beautiful red dog?
That was in San Mateo, and I want to say her name is Kim, but I think Kim was the little girl down on the corner, and then the Irish setter was like 2 or 3 houses
And
down.
that's the house that
Cypress
we had the
Avenue.
clubhouse in that we
Yeah.
got in trouble for and had to take a turpentine bath.
Right, that's the Cypress Avenue, 1701 Cypress Avenue, San
Okay,
Mateo.
now that's the house that you had your clown outfit in. That
No, the clown outfit was back up on the hill in Pacifica, Skyline Drive, the house that your friends burned down,
And
where we had the organ.
that's the one that where we had the for your scavenger hunt Cub Scout things that had the red plates.
That's back in San Mateo on Cypress Avenue. Those are where we had the silver dollars put underneath the stones as the prize for the scavenger hunt. After you had to go all over.
Okay, so now which house was it in that I stuttered in that I had the foot fetish in? And that I was the alcoholic, that I was stealing the alcohol out of the little
That's
comfort.
up on the hill, the one that your friends burned down, where we had the ducks. Alpha and Spanky.
Okay, and so the
Alfalfa.
one in Pacifica would be the one that Tommy came and visited that we went down to go fishing off the wall and
No,
found the
no, that's, and I'm telling you because that's San Mateo on Cypress Avenue, because where we went fishing was just down the street at the bay.
Right, and that's the house that we had the clubhouse in. We turpentined.
Yes, and the ice plant
Okay, now so you know all of that to me
is just one.
is
big-
one big jumbled memory. I know we've had different places, but I cannot extinguish the differences. The first house that I can truly distinguish and have a good memory is Trinity Court.
Okay. With
But I know-
Tommy Ritchie Acres, those
Right.
guys.
All the houses we lived in before that, I have memories of, but I don't know. They blend in.
Right, but I'm 4 years older, so I have good memories of those houses, and I can recollect what happened
Well-
and the differences between all that.
That's not also in Lamar. Okay. I remember the house on 906, just down the road from Grandma. I remember the house across the street from the church, just down the road from Grandma. Go straight down the road, across the field, and we're at our house. That where we used to have the itch bomb fights, where we had
Oh,
the
okay,
fire
okay,
ones,
yeah,
where we
yeah.
lived downstairs in the basement.
Right.
And then we lived in another 2-story house somewhere up
8th
further
Street. 8th Street.
up the road that you had to go up on a hill to get
That was a
into.
badass house on 8th Street because they had the laundry chutes.
And those are the only places I remember that we lived in Lamar, other than living with Grandma.
The only houses I have, I can remember pretty much all the houses, but the two that I get confused in, for me that blend together, and it's weird, is Trinity Court and Moselle Court in Hayward. I know one's in California, and one's in
Right.
Pacifica, and one's in Hayward, but the layout of those two houses is very, very similar. You walk into the house, you could either go upstairs or downstairs into the basement. And when you're upstairs, you have the same basic layout there too, with the living room, a long hallway with the bedrooms off of the hallways. Almost identical layout, except for the basement part.
Okay, now what I remember of the house on Trinity Court, we had the downstairs garage, walk in because Dad lost his teeth off the balcony onto the thing. I remember walking into the house because I remember going to the downstairs area because those are the stairs that you pushed me down and broke my chin open on.
I didn't push you down, I pushed you. No. That chin didn't happen there. You got that scar when we were visiting Aunt Teresa at her house. Mom and Dad took us over there. Aunt Teresa was babysitting us. And Mom and Dad had gone out for the night. and I think Teresa was there. We were in Teresa's basement, and I think you were going slow up the stairs, and I pushed you, and it hit you right there. I think that happened to Teresa's house.
No, this happened at Trinity Court. You pushed me down the stairs.
All right. No, because I thought it was super funny whenever you were saying, "Oh, you fell up the stairs." Hang on, let's ask Mom. Hey, Mom. Do you remember when Shannon got that scar on his chin? Had the 3 stitches there. Where did that happen at?
Pittsburgh, California, at your Aunt Teresa's house. Were you right?
Yep, he's right.
Of course I'm right. Wait. Was he going up the stairs or down the stairs?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, just check.
I wasn't there. But
I was there. I was there. I remember.
You think I would, did you?
No, but he didn't remember. So when I told him that, he didn't believe me. I said, "Yeah, no, because you and Dad had gone out,
Yeah.
and Teresa was babysitting us."
Yes.
All right, just checking.
Okay. I remember you pushing me down the stairs
No.
at that place.
No.
Because that was the same place that,
So see, you really aren't my brother.
that's the house where I almost shot you. Or Dad said I almost shot you because he was cleaning the gun and I took the gun off the table in the kitchen and pointed it at you. And that's when he loaded the chamber to show me that you never trusted him a gun, blah, 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 blah. That's the house where Dad would do donuts in the backyard on his motorcycle on Trinity Court.
Yeah, I remember that. Because we had that dirt little patch back in the back.
Right.
That was by the school.
That's where I had my bicycle accident going down the hill and looked like a mummy.
I remember that day too.
Now, I find it kind of funny that the two major scars that I have on my body, my chin and my forehead, both came from you, and both apparently was because I was going too slow.
No, not only are you going slow, but you're acting dopey. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You're acting dopey. And by dopey, I mean like Dopey of the Seven Dwarfs. You know, dope. You know. Yeah, you're just acting dopey.
Okay, now this is how.
And I'm pushing you. I guess I'm pushing you a lot.
This is what I remember of my forehead. Okay.
Where do you think that happened?
That happened at the laundromat in Lamar
Yeah.
at Grandma's work.
What car?
Grandma's car.
What car?
Fuck if I know. It was an old blue one. What I remember.
It was a blue Oldsmobile.
What I remember is we were supposed to be getting in the car, and you're yelling at me to hurry up. So
Did
I go into my tortoise mode, and I just start playing Tortoise from the Looney Tunes, going real slow. And you
Acting dopey.
shove me.
Acting dopey.
And you shove me, and my forehead gets stuck to the car door where the rubber's supposed to have been. And I yelled, and so you grab and pop me off, take me inside. Grandma is having a hissy fit, rubbing
Yeah, 'cause it
running
won't
my
stop.
forehead through the water fountain sink
Stop
thing,
bleeding.
yelling at you.
I applied direct pressure to your forehead, saved your life.
Don't remember that.
No.
Nope.
Really?
I don't remember you applying direct pressure. I remember.
Because I had just gone through my Cub Scout stuff and then first aid and
Okay, now you see, that surprises me.
Huh.
Okay.
what
You
the-
were not in Cub Scouts in Lamar,
No, I was in Cub Scouts in California.
California,
Yeah.
and you were graduated all the way up through Weeblos in California.
Yeah.
So how could you have gone through Cub Scout training
Because
in
we
Lamar?
were in Lamar. We weren't living there. We were only there for the summer.
No, we were living there.
No, we hadn't moved there yet.
Yes, we did.
Or we had just barely moved there.
Because Dad was working as a police officer. Because
Then we just barely moved there then.
because the hospital they took me to was the old hospital there on Main Street.
Yeah.
And I remember that I was laying underneath the dill when they opened my head up, and I remember the blood falling back on the thing and everything else. And Dad telling me that's the first time he can remember remember actually getting sick on somebody.
On a wound.
Yeah. And the reason that Dad wasn't there is because he was working. That's why we were staying with Grandma, because Mom and Dad were working. So we were at work with Grandma.
Then we just had to move there then. Do you remember what year it was? No. We moved there in 76. 75. Because I remember next.
So what year did Grandpa die?
77. 76 or 77.
Okay, guys.
I think it's 77.
Like I said, we were living there when Grandpa died. We were living
Yeah.
in Lamar for the
Yeah.
bicentennial because we were living there in '76 for the bicentennial.
Yeah.
I remember that much because that's when they came out with the bicentennial corners with the.
The Hitchhiker.
I thought it was a Patriot.
Oh, do you have one?
No. Well, not me. It's inside Bear in storage somewhere. Colorado. So, you don't. Okay, I remember living there when they shot, when we had to put down Spanky and Alfalfa, or not Spanky and Alfalfa, what were their names? Snoopy and
Poncho.
Poncho.
Yep.
We were living there then.
I think that was 75, 76. Yeah, I remember that too. We buried him out by the garage.
Or in the very center of the back of the garage. Well, the side of the garage, because
Yep.
the back when.
And then I remember like 2 or 3 years later, we would put them in plastic bags, and it rained one time, and I guess they decomposed inside the plastic bags, and the plastic bags got full of gas, and it rained so much that they rose up to the.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, because I remember Tommy and I had to go out there. We had to pop the plastic bag, and that's what he says. It's going to smell really bad when we pop that. It's going to smell like that dog, when we pop that bag. But we got to pop it and then cover it up with dirt really quickly and rebury them. So we dug up. What we did is we left the bag there. We dug a hole next to it. He popped the bag, rolled it over, and then we just filled it all up in with the dirt. I didn't get a whiff of the smell because he told me, hold your breath, stay upwind. You don't want to smell that when we pop that hole in the bag.
Okay. How many places do you remember Tommy trying to make a bedroom?
A few under the garage.
Under the garage.
Oh, you don't remember him digging that hole under the garage?
Okay.
You don't.
Under the garage.
Yeah.
I remember the hole he dug under the house.
Yeah, he dug one under the house.
Okay, these are my memories of Tommy's places that he tried to make a room. Okay, in the cellar, underneath the house, towards the living room.
Yes.
Okay. In the garage, upstairs in the rafters.
Yep.
And his regular room, the first room I remember Tommy having was in the kitchen next to the refrigerator.
Right. He had that high.
You're right. He was step off the
I
ground.
could barely get up on it. Yeah, it was like 4 feet off the ground.
Those are the 3 rooms I remember Tommy
I
having
remember him trying
before
to
he
dig.
got his real room.
I remember, okay, when you're going out to the garage, you have that little concrete path, and you go into the door. Just to the right of that, you have those windows where the workbench is on the
Right.
inside. Remember, Grandpa had that thing that turned with
Right,
all
the
the
drum with all the
bottles?
baby bottles on it,
That's
with the coins
fucking,
and everything
that's
else.
a good memory that he had. And then the big shell, I don't even know what it was. I thought it was a rocket
It
launcher.
is a 3.5
But-
millimeter rocket launcher.
But I don't know if it was a rocket launcher or was it a mortar shell.
No, it was a rocket that went inside a rocket launcher.
Okay. I knew he had one of those down there. And then
Down where?
underneath the workbench.
Okay.
But Tommy, there was that concrete slab there that the
Right.
workbench is on and everything. Tommy dug underneath that concrete slab to make his room there, where those windows are at.
Inside or outside the garage?
Outside the garage.
I have no recollection of that at all.
Yeah, I remember it all being built up there and everything.
No.
We actually had it dug out pretty deep.
But then again, somebody, Dad tried to tell me, and I'm going to run this by you, because in my memory, they didn't have it. Grandma and Grandpa Griffith always had a wood burning stove in their house.
Not always.
They didn't get that wood burning stove until after Grandpa died. Long after Grandpa died.
After Grandpa died, just before Stephen Wayne was born. I remember Jackie being pregnant with Stephen Wayne when I think Tommy came back from his mission and bought that stove, and he put it right there in the
Sewing room next to
sewing
Grandma's
room,
deal. Dad says that there's always been a stove there, a wood burning stove there.
Yeah, Tommy bought that
That's what I thought.
because that red foam was right there. I call it,
The hot phone.
Yeah.
Right. The party line, the Batman phone.
Right.
Right there above where Grandpa had his swords and the bayonets.
Yep, hanging from the rafter.
Right, and then his pin collection over there by his chair. But when we looked at that 6 months ago, there was more things there, weren't there?
No, I think it was pretty much the same. But I don't think that's enough room to put a bed sideways. Why would you put your bed right in the middle in front of the window?
Any way it goes, why would we put our bed in front of the window? Okay, now no, we couldn't have put our bed there because then that would have blocked the closet. Now say, if the windows were there like that, and our bed was facing the way you said our bed was facing, the only place it should have gone would have been along the bathroom wall.
The what?
The bed.
No. Well,
Well, it would have been in front of the window
you would
anywhere
think,
else.
Right, yeah, you would think.
So,
I agree. So so what I'm getting from this really is, we believe the trailer house was set up the same.
right.
It's just the furniture was set up differently.
Furniture is set up differently.
That would totally correlate with this effect.
Right. The windows are wrong. Now,
What do you mean the windows are wrong?
well, how do we justify putting our bed in front of the
I
windows?
don't know. And why would you put bed in front of a window?
Especially
Bunk
bunk beds.
beds, I
Now,
don't know.
I could almost go with that. There weren't windows there. That it was a solid thing.
I could see that
I
too.
could see that.
I
The
could.
windows were on that one side of the house.
I could see that too because our bed was up against that wall, which would have put my bunk bed in the middle of the window, which wouldn't really make sense. I could have fallen out my bed and out the window. I mean, not really, but
Okay, but
I would have been able to look out my window, and I don't.
But with that scenario, okay, with that mentality, then that would give credence to why our bed was facing this way here, because the window would be at our head, and for us to look out the window, because that's weird. Because we had windows there, because I remember looking out our windows across the field during lightning storms and things like that. Because I remember looking out our windows across to the fields.
What about those trees?
I don't remember the trees being.
I don't
there.
remember the trees being there either.
I remember I can almost say there was another trailer house there, but then again, I'm not positive.
Same here. I would want to say there was another trailer house there, but I don't know for sure. But I don't remember those trees. Those trees. How long's it been? 20 years?
At
30.
least.
So I could see where maybe some saplings might have been there, and now they've grown into that. So I'll give them that. I mean, things change. So 20, 30-year old trees.
Right.
Well, it was 79, dude.
Well,
Okay, that's 40. 79, yeah, that's 40 years, dude. 40 years. So yeah, I'm sure those are not 40-year-old trees.
I'm pretty sure they're not 40-year-old trees either. Revenue Department gaming mine. Okay. Let's get up into the school.
Yeah, I kind of want to see the elementary school. Is that it there?
Yep. This is our old school here. This has got to be an add-on because here's the track and
I
field.
was gonna say because the concrete slab out there was really pretty much the only concrete slab in the town at the time where I would ride my skateboard.
And this here's the new
Oh,
elementary school.
nice. Wow, this over here used to be the practice field for the football. Now it's a baseball diamond?
Well, I remember. Oh, let me zoom out and see. See, because wasn't there a pond right here that in wintertime it would freeze over? We'd go over, we'd skate there.
You could
That
ice
was
skate on
also
it
because
downtown.
no one did want to go to the one that downtown over here because this was right next to the school where we could always go.
Right. But I don't think it was an official one thing. So
Well, no.
someone just built up a little berm over there to, it was just a natural low place.
Little place for cattle and stuff.
You need to watch that video that a tour of Cripple Creek was made like I think last year, 2 years ago. And that's how I figured out a bunch of this stuff too. Is you just driving around town. And I was like, oh man, that's not how I remember it. I don't remember that being the dirt.
I don't remember these paved roads.
Yeah, all these paved roads. These sidewalks and stuff. What is this? It's kind of like I guess if someone was in the 1800s in the cowboy days, like, what's going on? When I was here, there was a dirt highway and we had wooden sidewalks.
It wasn't far off.
That's true.
We had this wooden place leading up to the movie theater, and
I'm trying to think of how to still get those pictures of the wooden shelf road stuff.
well, you see, that's just it.
Oh, try to go down that. That's what got us started on this. Is go down and see what side of the canyon road that it's on.
This here's the shelf road right here,
Yes.
and it is on the west side of the canyon.
Correct. Just like I said, you said it was on the east
I
side.
thought it was on.
Well, maybe when you start. Is that the road?
That's the road.
I don't remember going up on top of the ridge.
Because that's the shelf road.
Can you go to
A point on it?
yeah, you know what I mean, like the street view
Yeah.
on the Shelf Road?
Let me see. Let me get back.
Yeah, go up to the creek because I want to try to find that little, where I would know where we were at for the when we went camping.
Okay.
That was the only time I ever saw a bear out in real life, uncaged. Where it could have been what was on the other side of the ridge, but
Cripple Creek County Road, Teller County Road 88.
okay, scroll down, keep scrolling. was down a ways, and then I remember we went down onto like a little flat area, and we could look up onto the Shelf Road because we had hiked all the way down to the bottom of the canyon.
From Victor or from Cripple Creek?
From Cripple Creek, we went Cripple Creek down the Shelf Road.
Walking.
No, drive. We were dropped off by Sean's mom.
Okay, well, let's go to the edge of Cripple Creek. Okay, it's not letting me get to Street View.
Really? Okay.
Okay, we're Street View here. And this is leaving Cripple Creek. Cripple Creek's right there.
So it doesn't let you get onto the Shelf Road on the street. I guess they haven't.
I don't know
done that
yet. Okay. This is the regular road going, this is the main road going to Cripple Creek, or going to Victor.
Right. I think my stables were up that way.
Your stables are
Over here.
no, because there's Cripple Creek. There's the road out.
No,
The hell
that's
is-
the school. You got it flipped. You're looking south. So
Right, this is south.
yeah, so the stables would have been over here. Here's the main turn. So my stables would have been right there.
Okay, let me get this turned around right. Okay, this is north, right?
Yeah, I think the stables would have been right here. Either here or here.
Okay, because this is the museum. Okay, now we're facing south.
Well, we're facing north looking down.
All right, this is south here.
Yes.
Down and south. Because there's the museum. We come down here. There's Cripple Creek, so your stables is right in here, right?
Okay, because I remember when we would take them down the dirt road, I had to walk them down the main road a little bit and then down, or back around that way, and we would take this road down.
Okay, so we come down this road.
This is the Shelf Road here.
This here's the Shelf Road.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so it splits off right here. So let me zoom in.
Xena Street.
Okay, so there's Cripple Creek. So now we're going to turn around. We're going to face south.
This one is.
This is the road.
Yes.
So let's see if he'll let us. Nope.
All right. Well, let's take.
Nope.
Just keep going down this road. Maybe we'll be able to see the same type of views. Of the Shelf Road. It'd be a while. It'd take you a while to get there, but because the canyon doesn't start until down there a ways. And then we went down to maybe 25 yards off of the road to camp, and then hiked down. That's where we were pushing giant rock. We went to the top of the ridge and pushed giant boulders down into the valley. Fucking great views, huh? Look, there's a fire.
It's mine. I remember big pits like that along the
Yeah,
road.
me too.
You know, held up by fucking beams and walls and shit
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, exactly. On this road.
I'll take this road all the way to Victor.
Well, I think if just look over that way, you should be able to see the Shelf Road too. Right?
Nah, from where we're sitting right now. There's the Shelf Road.
That's the railroad tracks. Shelf Road's there. So go to here, and then we'll look over and see if we can see anything.
Teller County Road 88.
Can't see shit. It's got that other hill in the way.
Yep.
Type in wood beams on the shelf road. Maybe that'll bring it up. Now I'm not wondering if they're wooden or maybe they were iron, big I-beams in there. Because they had the big iron things for the mines. Maybe I'm just full of shit. My reality, it happened, and in this one it didn't. And I guess I'm good with that. I mean, images would be
Well, there's where all your wood beams went, Rich.
Yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. Alright, well, it gives me something to do whenever I get home. See, it was something similar like this. I remember looking over, and it was built up though. And man, I could swear it wasn't just one spot. It was a couple of different spots.
10 most challenging drives in Colorado. No?
All right, let's do this. Go to Google and do